If you were to give them advice, young folks, people in college, maybe even high school, but people in their 20s, about what to do with their life, whether it's career, whether it's just life in general, what would you say?
Ignore everyone, make a few good friends, truly have honest conversations with yourself about your when do you feel the most alive? Figure that out. When and how do you feel the most alive?
Yeah.
Figure that out. Try to figure out a job or a career that can replicate that feeling. Um, don't listen to anyone. Don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to the gurus on the internet. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anyone. Figure out, where you feel the most alive. Where do you feel excited? Where does your pulse quicken? What do you feel matters? When you're in a situation, do you feel like it matters? What situation was that? What got you excited? What thing did you walk into where you looked around and were taken back and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm filled with awe. If you can figure out a life where you can excite yourself, you might not use drugs or alcohol or a sex addiction or gambling or irresponsibility. You might not have to get your fucking kicks in very destructive places if you can get them in a productive place.
Well, you had a pretty weaving life that's
Yes.
full of mistakes and so on.
Many mistakes.
Are mistakes a bug or a feature? Like, do you recommend embrace the mistakes, make a bunch of them?
Depends what they are, right? So
Well, you've had the full spectrum,
I've had a lot, but a lot of mine could have sunk me.
right?
Like they sound like fun when I talk about them, but they actually could have sunk me. And they were all part of what made me funny, but I don't know. I would never tell anyone else to just light their life on fire and hope it works out on the other end. It would be pretty irresponsible. But hey, at the end of the day, it's like I think one of my themes is that there's too much. We give the power, we think we have the power of choice has been elevated in our society to an unhealthy degree. I think I think you could get really good at something, but you're born with a certain aptitude. It might be to be a deal maker, it might be to be an athlete, it might be to be an artist, it might be to be a romantic and just fall in and out of love, in and out of love, in and out of love. It might be to be like a world traveler. But whatever you are, I think you are. I think that there's something about you that makes you something. And if you can figure it out and then refine, you're not going to be good at it per se, but if you're an athlete, it might not mean that you're going to be a great athlete in the history, but it might mean you're the best coach anyone's ever had, or you're
Right.
the person that, builds a local scene for young athletes or whatever. If you are a really good deal maker, it doesn't mean you're going to be Warren Buffett, but it might mean you're somebody who enjoys making deals all the time and things like that. Like if you're an entertainer, it might mean that you are an entertainer. It might mean that you are in the world of entertainment because you love it so much that if you lack the skill set to really pursue it on a degree, you just want to be like, there's a thing inside of you that makes you what you are. I think I look at certain people and I go, you were born to be that thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And the whole purpose is to find it.
I was a juror on that murder trial, a murder trial in Long Island, and the woman who's the DA, I'm like, you were born to do this. You were born to put murderers away, and this guy killed the mother of his children. I mean, he's a bad guy, but like I was like, you are really good at what you do. She has a strong belief in whatever her moral code is and what her justice and ethics are, and she wants to communicate that to people. She was very good at doing what she did. I don't know the facts of the case. I didn't really listen. He seemed guilty, so I just voted guilty. But I didn't really listen to her, but I heard the shape of her mouth was very bovine,
Yeah.
like a cow, and it conferred a certain level of expertise that I enjoyed.
Well, it's funny. I mean, you could see you're half joking.
Yes, but I'm
You can
serious,
often
too.
see that people they found their place, they found their role,
Found their thing.
they found their thing, and that's kind of the purpose of life. And once you are in a place that seems sticky, like the place that seems right, that's one of the problems with the generation that you're speaking to. Is there's always a feeling like I should keep exploring, but it's okay to stay. in a place that you found that works.
Yeah, and listen, sometimes the best place you'll find is like when people are like, when did you feel really excited and alive? It's like doing nothing.
Right. Yeah.
You know? Like that's the other thing. It's like some people are gonna be like, I feel really excited and alive when I'm laying in my backyard in a hammock.
Yeah.
And I just want to have the simplest life and not have to do much. And I don't like doing anything. And I love laying around and going, wow, the sky looks good today.
Yeah.
Bill Gates goes, the sky looks good today. Let's shoot a missile into it. He wants to do shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's like in between that and nothing is you can find something.
But in that process, for you personally, I mean, for me and for others, I think there's a struggle. When you look when Tim Dillon looks in the mirror, do you love yourself or do you hate yourself?
Well, a lot of times I think I'm Amy Schumer, so I'm confused. I'm a detente with myself all the time. I don't love myself or hate myself. Addicts have a very bad problem where you can't just fall in love with yourself and you can't hate yourself. Both of them lead you to a negative place.
Yeah.
You try to stay kind of even keel. I don't go like, hey man, you put out a video, you got all these views, things are great, you sold a bunch of tickets, let's fucking go out and like maybe hey man, let's have that drink that you've been waiting for 11 years. And I don't look at myself and go, you ate a burger yesterday, you're a piece of shit, you're horrible, you'll never, get into the shape you want. Like I try not to get too low or too high. Both of them are not good from my particular mind.
Okay, I gotta ask. We were kind of spoke about 2021 and you being potentially hopeful short term, cynical long term.
Yeah.
So let me ask. I forgot to ask. Are you moving to Austin?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so immediately. I love Joe. I love what he's trying to do down there. I'm appreciative of everything that he's done for not only me, but for comedy in general. And I think as things happen in Austin and unfold, it's such a political answer, but as things unfold, I will consider it more and more. Yeah. But I mean, I think I got another year in LA.
So you've spoken so nicely about this magical place that is Los Angeles.
LA is very funny.
You think there's a place for comedy in LA?
Oh, yeah. There'll always be a place for comedy in LA. There's always going to be a place for comedy in New York. I mean, the question is how thriving of a comedy scene is Austin going to be? And Joe can probably make it one, but as of right now, it isn't. So that would be him doing that.
But the question, there's a lot of people escaping Los Angeles, but I know better about New York. There's a lot of really brilliant people.
Let him go. There's other people. This is the thing. It's like, this is the fear thing. It's like, no, but all the brilliant people are leaving. There'll be other people and they'll fill their shoes the way that they've done throughout history. And I think that New York and LA, listen, maybe in 5 to 10 years, they're not the two cities. It would be real rough in 5 years when this pandemic's over for people in Australia to go, dude, you got to go to America and you got to visit Charleston and Austin.
Yeah.
Stop. Let's be adults here. Let's be adults. So, it's still going to be New York and LA for a while. LA is an absolute hellscape, but I don't think you're going to replace California with another place.
Yeah.
And also, everyone's making decisions now because we're literally in the midst of a pandemic we've never had before. Right. We've never had this before. Yeah. Joe loved California up until the pandemic. He had problems with it, like we all have problems with it. There's a lot of benefits to being here.
I think a lot of us made pretty bad decisions in 2020 because we were all locked up and stuck with our own thoughts. Yeah. But so it's funny, there's parallels because I don't necessarily... I'm obviously a fan of comedy, but I don't care where comics move.
Sure.
But there's a parallel move that's happening, set of decisions which do influence my decision making, which is where to start a business that's tech centered. And that's more about the San Francisco, Silicon Valley. And there is a lot of people leaving there.
That's already going to Austin.
Austin, there's I think there's a bunch of different places. Phoenix, there's Denver.
Austin will probably be a massive tech hub. Elon's there. It seems like everything about Austin says that it's going to be a massive tech hub. Yeah. I just don't know if that means it'll be a massive comedy hub. Yeah. It might.
I don't know if those two can actually coexist. It's interesting because...
Yeah, I think, comedy suffered in New York and LA when everyone got super rich. Like, it just wasn't as cool. It's still much more fun on the road. It's still more fun to perform for people that want and need to laugh in strip malls than it is to perform for hedge fund managers and with their dates and Instagram models in LA. It's just what it is. Comedy on the road is much more fun. So maybe in the spirit of that, Austin becomes, but if Austin is just colonized by tech bros and stuff, like, yeah, I mean, sure, it'll be fun and it'll be great. And I think Joe's made LA a scene. So if anyone's going to make Austin a scene, it's Joe.
Yeah, and I like on the Elon side, which is what I'm much more familiar with, the promise of the possibility of what that could become, because there's a lot of problems in Silicon Valley. And of course, it might be naive to think that just because it's like the grass is greener thing, which is just because the place where you come from has a lot of problems, doesn't mean you can just create a new place that's not going to have those.
Yeah, there's homelessness in Austin. There are problems in Austin. I mean, I think that by the way, with the influx of very rich people to an area, sometimes that helps things, but sometimes it just makes things more polarizing, and it puts a spotlight on those problems and makes those problems even bigger, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily, it's hard to predict. I just know that LA right now is funny. It's funny that there's 15-year-old TikTokers making millions of dollars dancing in a house while the world burns. That is very funny.
Well, it's for your style of humor, yes. The absurdity of
it's
the
funny
world
that no one cares about Hollywood starlets and actresses and actors, and everyone goes, hey, fuck you, even though they've won 3 Academy Awards. They're all being replaced by just mediocre dancer 15-year-olds. I mean, it's like there's something hilarious about this city, and it will burn in hell, but so will everything. So what are we talking about?
Eventually the sun will die out and we will all be gone unless we colonize outside of our solar system. But I just sit here, I'm struggling with this because Boston, I'm currently at MIT. Boston doesn't feel like the right place to start a business in the tech sector. And so I'm looking at San Francisco the way it is, and I'm looking at Austin.
Austin, clearly.
So it seems clear, but it's such a difficult thing to predict what a place will look like in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years.
And it's so hard to predict if you'll like it or not until you're there.
And this is speaking to risk. There's not really a good reason for me to move anywhere.
Right.
There's not a good reason to do anything in life. Part of me wants to just fucking do it and whatever and see what happens.
You like Boston? Do you like other things about Boston besides the tech thing? You like MIT?
MIT, that's the problem. But
do you like the food in Boston? Do you eat food?
I haven't eaten food or been outside for years.
And I mean that's probably the better version. But you're keto forever. You've been keto for a long time.
Yeah, keto fasting for a long time. 15 years fasting, eating once or twice a day. I haven't, but
no sugar ever. No
sugar
and no pasta ever. No bread ever.
No pasta, no bread. No, except so my source.
You could kind of live anywhere because going out is such a big part of what city you live in, and do you like the food there? Do you like the restaurants? Can you meet people? Whatever. But it's you really can just kind of.
Yeah. So not married, no kids.
Right. You have freedom. Me too. I have freedom.
Yeah.
And that's we have the curse of too many choices.
Right.
That's the thing. We have too many choices. And we don't have somebody else going, what about we don't have to justify our decisions to anyone.
Yeah.
So we can just kind of let our minds go run wild.
So you just gotta hone the instinct of just what feels right and just fucking do it. And that's
I think Austin with Joe down there and Elon down there, Austin seems like a real no-brainer move for you.
To try, Why the hell not?
Why not?
Why not?
And then I think I should go to MIT.
I
think I should give those nerds a piece of my mind, and you should go to. I was in an Uber pool once with a kid from MIT, and I was eating this thing from Bova's Bakery. I forget what it was. It was it's so good. I don't know. You don't know Bova's Bakery, right? Yeah, it's in Boston. It's famous. And I was eating a thing, and I was covered in chocolate. And this kid, this little nerd, this little USB drive with feet, was just staring at me. And they just dropped him off at MIT, and he scurried away.
Yeah.
But that's a big school. Doesn't the NSA recruit out of there heavy, MIT, places like that?
I can't speak to that. But this is a ridiculous question I sometimes ask myself when I'm alone. What is the meaning of life? Do you think about the big existential kind of why the hell we're here?
It's a cosmic kind of joke, kind of in a weird way, right? I mean, Joe said it the other day on, maybe it was you, who was saying that he was just by the time you figure out what it is, you're out of here. It's kind of interesting. Or you even start to figure out what it is, you're out of here. It's that's kind of funny. It's you don't get enough time to truly, I think the meaning of life is just like, at the end of the day, do you feel it was time well spent? Was it time well spent? That's really what it is. If you look back, do you go, hey, it was time well spent? Like
Pretty good ride.
It was a pretty good ride. I did a lot. I did a lot of things. I doing what you say is a part of it, I think. If you say you're going to do something, maybe doing it. That seems to be extrapolating the meaning of life question to like, what did you come here to do? I think it goes down deep of like, who are you and what do you want? And, what are you suited to do? And what?
It does seem that like the people who are most enlightened that I've ever met or read books by, they ultimately land on humor. Like they don't take shit seriously. They embrace the absurdity of it all and just kind of laugh at it in this kind of simple way. So it does seem that humor is like one of the fundamental truths of this universe
Yes.
we're in. And
It's
somehow
love. It's love. Humor can be love, right? People laughing, that sound is kind of like Carolyn Knapp, who wrote a book called Drinking a Love Story, which is a really good book about not drinking and then not drinking. And she said you could understand things as love. I think one of the last lines in the thing is like, people talking about their experiences in life, that could be love. Like, laughter is love. Like I feel like love and finding it wherever you can find it is why we're here. That's that connection, and laughter can be love, and figuring out something that makes life better for a lot of people can be love, whether it's a vaccine or a technological advancement or whatever. Like, all of those things I think can be that feeling. And I think that's what's important. It connects you to a larger frequency,
I don't think there's a better way to end it, Tim. I hope you're one of the voices. I truly believe that your legacy will be one of the most important voices of our time because you're fearless in challenging all the absurdity of the nonsense of our social and political discourse. So I hope you keep doing it. I'm a fan. I'm still a bit starstruck. So
stop it. Listen,
huge honor
a guy with your intellectual capacity enjoying anything I do only underscores how truly fucked we are. But thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for talking today.
Thank you, brother.